Hello, my name is Shirley Self and I'm here to talk astrology. Today I wanted to talk about a moon phase 26, one that is in the news. The president of Brazil, it's Jair Bolsonaro. I do not know how to pronounce that first name. The best I can do is to assume that it's kind of pronounced like Spanish and it would be hair. So I will call him Mr. Bolsonaro if I can remember to do that. Here's his information. He was born the 21st of March in 1955 at 2:45 p.m. in Sao Paulo, Brazil. And he is a moon phase 26. A 26, let's review a 26. Okay, a 26 is here at the beginning of the triad of retribution. We're finishing up the cycle here. And so 26 is, notice it's a phase that cannot be skipped. It's a very important phase because in this phase, well, it's the phase of redemption, of expiation, in which, okay, what wasn't done in moon phase 18, and all these guys, the wisdom rectangle, it's really hard to get them moving because the job they have to do is so very difficult and so very scary that it takes the daemon to push them into doing their work. And so what wasn't done here was a power that was not gained at moon phase 18, and moon phase 18 is an initiation phase in which you were to learn to focus your power on some real interest or talent. But it requires giving up the past, the ideals of the past, and so it's a very difficult phase. And what it doesn't accomplish, that weakens moon phase 26, weakens it drastically. Also, what impedes moon phase 26 is whatever happened here at moon phase 25. Now, moon phase 25 is the most powerful individual in the cycle. It's the most, it's the revolutionary. It's a phase of a great deal of power. It's one of the power rectangle here. All these people having to learn about how to use power. And so as 25 misused power, and usually that power misuse is sexual. And I'm reminded of Gandhi. People think it's one of the peculiar things that Gandhi would sleep with young women without touching them. And as far as I can see, it's a moon phase 25, this powerful well, the power in them, it comes, you know, is located in the sexual chakra. And to be in control of that power is essential. And especially if you're doing a great revolutionary job like Gandhi was doing. He needed all the power. That myth that sex will reduce your power is true of a moon phase 25. Misuse of the sexual energy, not egalitarian use of the sexual energy, which is the most desirable, but using your power sexually over others. And so moon phase 26, how to put this, can be a sexual pervert. I have had a dear friend who was a moon phase 26, and I was always counted my blessings that he never turned his attentions to me, because this man, and he lived next door to me on the when I was a teenager. He lived next door, and I'm really grateful that he didn't turn his attentions to me, because he would obsess over a woman and he would get her. And he destroyed many families, many marriages. And he knew it. He knew it. and could not help himself. Of course, he had I think he had a Sun, Venus conjunction in Aries in the 8th house. So the urge was, for him to use his sexual power was overwhelming to him. That is a problem with Moon Phase 26. It's the misuse of sexual energy. This 25 is simply a power. I'm using my power over you. This is, it becomes evil here. It becomes virulent. It's brutal. And it's sick. Anyway, so 26, the wonderful thing about 26, and the thing that they're, is their thing. Let me show you the card for Moon Phase 26, and this is the card for 26 and 12, the Emperor. The Emperor is the connection on the Kabbalah between the Sun and Uranus, and what it provides. Now, a couple of key words for the Emperor is window and sight, and it's ruled by Aries. And what it's talking about is to be able to see what stands between you and your own perfection. And because at 26 there's nothing you can do about it now. It's the time has passed in which you can perfect your power. It means accepting that, accepting responsibility for that, owning up to it. It's a very difficult thing. I can remember recently, in the last few years, I had a solar return that was a Moon Phase 26. And it seemed that all year I was afflicted with memories and understanding of the cruelty in my actions. It just seemed like it went through my past and said, here, look at this one. Here, look at this one. It was humbling, to put it mildly. And that's what, notice that 26 is moving from Aquarius, the Libra decadent, into Pisces, the Pisces decadent. And that means expiation of guilt. And virtually recognizing that you were responsible for your condition, owning up to that responsibility, and forgiving yourself. That's the Pisces and Pisces decadent, forgiving yourself. The glorious thing about this moon phase is the clarity with which it sees. And this is a blessing to all of the wisdom rectangle who are connected to Moon Phase 26, is it gives them tremendous clarity, inner and outer. So, so mostly what Moon Phase 26 is here to do is commentary, and to say it the way it is. Okay, to acknowledge you acknowledge your shadow. That's the negative crap that afflicts Moon Phase 26. It's called the shadow, and you have to acknowledge that shadow. Before that information becomes apparent to you, there will be a fascination with sin. This is one of the problems with the Moon Phase 4 here, is that until you have lined out what it is you're supposed to do, there will be a fascination for doing things wrong, because you're supposed to be checking out what you've been doing wrong, and so there's not only does Moon Phase 26 knows what's right and wrong, but it can't help himself. If he has not done that basic work, that inner work that 26 and 12 have to do, that inner work virtually to clear the way to your own Uranus, and that Uranus, as you know, is your blueprint. That part of you, the glorious garment that must be fulfilled, and to acknowledge and to own what you have done short of filling out that blueprint is very important to these two phases. And if they don't, well, let's talk about one of the problems that can easily go wrong with fourth quarter phases is just total insensitivity. They can tend to be wrapped up in themselves so much that they just don't give a damn about anybody else, and capable of cruel decisions, and etc. The first house quarter difficulty is brutality. Here's rage, and here's hatred. And here it's kind of a lack of emotional connection and insensitivity. So that inner, I hope that kind of explains the inner work that 26 has to do. Acknowledge the shadow. That's a lot of work, but they're primed to be able to do it. It is right there. As Yeats said, riddled with light, I rocked to and fro, riddled with light. And I think that might fairly describe the situation for Moon Phase 26. One of the problems with 26 is that it will, it gets us from Moon Phase 4. Here, I'm going to show you the creative genius body of fate for a 26. It's this guy right here. This guy right here. This is a very difficult card. It connects, the tower connects Mercury on the Kabbalah with Venus, and it's ruled by Mars, and it's a two-way street, and it means virtually, to me it means if you want it, figure out how to get it and do it. You have to do it. The Mars is get off your high horse, get out of your head, and get real. And so that's what a 26 has to do. And they can spend a lot of time on their high horse. They're masters of self-delusion. So let's look at Mr. Bolsonaro. He's a Cancer rising. And here on the ascendant, we have Jupiter at 20 Cancer, Uranus at 24 Cancer, and here the South Node, here in the 12th house at 1 degree Cancer. Here we've got Pluto at 25 Leo, right here on the cusp of the second house. Down here in the house of the way you think, the third house, is Neptune at 28 Libra. And here in your house, in your fourth house, is Saturn in Scorpio, 21 degrees. These, not Jupiter, but these outer planets are all retrograde, and that means it kind of a second go around with these energies. Here we've got the North Node in the 6th house, the house of health, at 1 degree. Chiron's here in 4 degrees Aquarius, right there in the 7th. Venus at 20 degrees Aquarius. The moon at 28 degrees Aquarius, 52, here just inside the 8th house. Mercury at 5 Pisces, and the sun at 0 degrees Aries, 20. That sun is interesting. It's at a very powerful point. It's called the Aries point. It's the 1st degree of cardinal signs, the Aries point. And so that's when, if you're going to do a chart for what's going to go on for the next 3 months, you just do it when the sun hits that Aries point. And it will describe the next 3 months. The weather, it's the way you do the weather. So, and it's in the 8th house of power here. Here on the midheaven, we've got 7 Taurus. Mars is at 16 degrees Taurus. in the midheaven there. So that's Mr. Bolsonaro. President of Brazil. In charge of the Earth's lungs, the Amazon jungle. Okay, so this man has not given up the struggle for worldly success. This man has not done the inner work. This man is what Yeats would call massively out of phase. So he's a violent man. He's a brutal man. He's a chronic disruptor. You know, so Uranus here on the ascendant means that anything he gets into, he's going to stir it into chaos. And not just chaos, but a lot of chaos. The Jupiter there magnifies his destructive potential. And the South Node helps to make sure that it will, stays negative. Easily stays negative. This ascendant is ruled by this moon here at 52 Aquarius, which is opposing this Pluto at 25 Leo. You know, I really do think that the world will be a better place when we, Pluto and Leos, die off. We're greatly responsible for the wrong turn that the world has taken, that governments have taken. So let's see what we've got here. So you've got the Sun in the 8th. We've got the Mercury in the 8th. You notice there are no aspects to them. There are wide aspects to them. But the lack of anything that's really constantly workable means that Sun is freewheeling and that Mercury is freewheeling. And when the Sun is freewheeling, it pretty much just does what it wants. What Yeats said about the Sun, if you regard it simply as a unit, unaffected by anything else, is it's kind of a selfish pig. It just wants to shine. It just wants to. It's lazy. It just wants to roll around heaven all day. It just it doesn't want much but to be glorified, to be successful. And the thing about the Sun, if it's successful once, it can live on that for a long time. It's the Moon that pushes the Sun to keep going, keep experiencing, keep learning. So we've got a Sun here unaspected. That means it doesn't have to compromise with anybody or anything within itself. And the Mercury also is unleashed. He's a hater. He hates he hates gay people. He hates women. One of the things he said about a woman was that she was really too ugly to even be raped, and said that he'd rather his son were dead than gay. This Mercury can't shut up. It just spouts out, and it really helps to drive the chaos that is here on the ascendant. The Moon-Pluto opposition is, you know, a struggle for power. A struggle for power. And the fixed signs here, this guy is really fixed. He's fixed and cardinal, and he has one mutable sign. And that's at that freewheeling Mercury. So the freewheeling Mercury is the only one that feels competent to act upon changing circumstances. Everything else seems fixed in place. This is fixed. This is fixed. This is fixed. This is fixed. The Mars up here shows that he has a martial background. He was a long time in the Congress, being disruptive. How he got elected, I don't know. He's definitely alienated. Look at where the Chiron is. They're at 4 degrees Aquarius. It's in the Pisces Dwad of Aquarius. So it's virtually what it is it's alienation, right there in your house of partnerships, right there in your house of relationships. Alienation. I'll bet the man, he has children, which really surprised me. I cannot imagine a woman willingly. Of course, you know, some women are just overwhelmed and agreeably go along with power. And this guy has power. But I don't think he's ever had a decent lay in his life. I think he is, you look here at the 8th house, I think he's a rapist. I think he's not even your typical 26, because typical 26s aren't usually this bad. John Dillinger was a 26, but anyway. But then so was Abraham Lincoln, a 26. Baden Powell, who started the Boy Scouts, was a 26. Bette Midler is a 26. One of my favorite people in the world. And they're wonderful 26s, but when they go bad, oh, they're very, very bad. And here we've got a prime example. Here's the self-delusion. Look at how easy it is for the guy to emotionally delude himself. Understand that he's got no emotional commitment to anything outside of himself. And that comes from a moon phase 4, whose emotions are driving him to get out there and do it. He says, no, 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 and hates the emotions. 26 gets that from 4. It's creative genius. And so self-delusion is running rampant here. And insensitivity. Let's look at the North Node. The Sun is square the nodes. This is a very powerful sun because it's at what you might call at the bendings of the nodes. And so it's very karmic. What he does with this energy, this 8th house power, is going to affect his karma. And because it's doing such damage in the world. And that's what is the issue with these last, the last of the phases in the cycle are, when they go wrong, they can do terrible damage out in the world. When they are Abraham Lincoln, they can do a job that needs to be done. Mostly by just perceiving what needs to be done and speaking up about it. That's their real talent. I looked at him. I just thought, oh, this is so sad. This is so sad. Mars, Saturn here. He's a push me, pull you, and it makes really good sense for a moon phase 6 to have this kind of issue going on. The Mars wanting and the Saturn putting on the brakes, and it so nothing quite works. So virtually the guy can't get much done. All he can virtually do is be disruptive. And all this Cancer here, this 55, had the South Node, Jupiter, and Uranus all in Cancer. And they tend to be a really cranky bunch. A really cranky bunch. Impatient. And this is a prime example. A prime example. Let's see what I wanted to... I was looking at his parents. Well, I was looking at his childhood. I'm always looking at people's childhood and say, oh, if only they would have been raised right, you know. And I know there's a little more complicated than that, but not much. So we've got this, his parents, the parental line here is ruled by Mars and Venus. And notice they are square. And so the parents didn't get along. It's possible that that one of them was just missing in action. The father here has got Saturn right there. Well, it's not right there, but it's this Mars Saturn really affects this south node, or I mean this IC. And I looked at this, what is kind of a giant fixed square, grand square, if you would connect these two. And I was thinking, oh wow, I wonder what happened when it did connect these two. So at 5 years old, he is going to oppose this Saturn. You can do that now. See, look at the difference in degrees between a good aspect and where it is right now, and to close that aspect is going to be traumatic for at the year, whatever year. Like I had my first concussion when my moon progressed to my Pluto. Little things like that, you can just see what happens. So when he was 5 years old, his Mars literally opposed his Saturn. At 9 years old, it exactly squared the Pluto. And as it came into opposition to the Saturn, it completed the beautiful. It came to 20 degrees Taurus and squared the Venus. So 5 years must have been a really difficult thing for Mr. Bolsonaro. Could have been just when he went to school. You'd be amazed how many chirons you see are pinned down to those first experiences in school. And so when he was 9 years old, the Mars had come to square the Pluto, and at 13 years old, it squared the Moon. It was a rough childhood. And he's not overcome it. Not overcome it. Let me see what else I want. Oh, it's got this inconjunct over here between the Venus and the Jupiter. And that Jupiter rules the 6th house. So I'm thinking he's had to deal with venereal disease, because this is a sickness inconjunct, excuse me, not a death inconjunct, which would be an 8th house. So it's a 6th house inconjunct. So it's possible he's had to deal with venereal diseases, maybe pass them on. So, what else do I want to tell you? I think I pretty much covered this guy. This is a vicious, brutal man. He is the epitome of an out of phase, moon phase 26. And I pray that the Brazil and its Amazon rainforest survives him, because he's not a benevolent influence in this world. Anyway, that's Bolsonaro. I pray that you're doing well, masking up, and staying safe, and telling the people you love that you love them, because it's important now. Take care. Bye-bye.